Dear friends, I'm operator Starsky and this is Fact Check in English. I know my English is not perfect, but it's kind of hard to speak 5 languages at once. So, yesterday US President Trump published a statement in his social media containing a bunch of controversial statements. Why did he do that? Apparently because there's a lot of Russian disinformation surrounding President Donald Trump, and being a big fan of the Western world, I decided to help the beautiful American people learn facts. So let's not waste your precious time and fact check the US President Donald Trump's most recent statement in the social media. In his publication, US President Donald Trump calls the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy a modestly successful comedian, which I'm not even sure if I should fact check for you. Okay, why not? Personally, I prefer Monty Python and Benny Hill. I was never a big fan of Zelenskyy's shows. However, according to the reports published by the Ukrainian channel 1+1 in 2015, approximately 20 million Ukrainians have watched Zelenskyy's TV show called People's Servant. That is roughly half of Ukraine's population, which I don't even know how to react to, but it's a fact. Additionally, this very TV show topped numerous ratings in Ukraine. Also, the Fox studio in 2016 announced purchasing the format of the show in order to adopt it in the United States of America. Please let me know if you would consider this a modest success in the comedy genre. Next, the US President Donald Trump stated that Volodymyr Zelenskyy talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion, apparently on helping Ukraine defend itself. How much money have the US spent on helping Ukraine defend itself? In order to answer this enormously complex question, I really had to use some of the most advanced technologies available to the humankind. Of course, I will share it with you, my dear friends, but let's keep it a secret, okay? So I used Google and I learned that according to the United States Interagency Oversight Group, the US-Ukraine response funding totaled nearly $183 billion. $174.2 billion were appropriated through 5 appropriation acts enacted between 2022 and 2024. And as you probably understand, these money were spent in the United States, while the weaponry and equipment were delivered to Ukraine in metal, not in cash. Therefore, I'm not really sure where does this number of $350 billion came from, because it's even bigger than the combined US and European response budget that was spent on Ukraine's defense. Next, the US president stated that President Zelenskyy went into a war that couldn't be won and never had to start. Early in the morning of 24th of February 2022, Russian missiles crossed the Russo-Ukrainian border in the direction of Ukraine, not vice versa. I don't remember a single Ukrainian soldier walking into Russia on that day. Fact is, internationally wanted war criminal Vladimir Putin announced a so-called special military operation and launched the invasion of Ukraine. Zelenskyy didn't choose to go to war. In fact, the war came to Ukraine, and there was absolutely no way to stop it. On the night before the invasion, President Zelenskyy made a 10-minute-long address to the Russians, appealing that the war against Ukraine will bring a lot of blood and suffering to both nations if it starts, and it won't make life any better for the Russian people. In 2022, President Zelenskyy didn't announce a special military operation against Russia, he didn't annex Russian territory, he didn't call Ukrainian army to cross the Russian border. It was the Russian army that crossed Ukrainian border and started the war. It's a fact that nobody can change. Russia started the war of aggression against Ukraine and invaded the country, and it's obvious that Zelenskyy starting the war against Russia is not true. Next, President Trump says that the United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, which again is much more than what was confirmed by the official sources of the US government. According to Ukraine Support Tracker, which is a database of military, financial, and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, as of December 2024, approximately 267 billion euro or almost 280 billion US dollars were spent in total by 41 countries of the world supporting Ukraine to help it defend itself against Russia and support the Ukrainian civilians. Therefore, this statement also cannot be confirmed. Next, American President Trump stated that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us. We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. In June 2024, 3 Russian warships and a nuclear submarine with personnel on board have arrived to the Caribbean and docked in Cuba approximately 145 kilometers or 90 miles away from Florida. The Russian media Gazeta.ru called this act the biggest demonstration of force, obviously reminding the US citizens about the Cuban crisis that took place in the 20th century, and I'm sure a lot of people, including you, my dear viewers, still remember those days. Next, President Trump stated that Zelenskyy admits that half of the money the US sent him is missing. However, President Trump did not clarify, was he talking about $350 billion that he keeps operating in his interviews, or $170 billion mentioned by President Zelenskyy in his interview, where he stated that Ukraine never received about $100 billion. Generally speaking, President Trump can easily access all the reports from the USAID and Department of Defense to learn where and how those money were spent. Ukraine obviously doesn't have such possibility, and frankly, we don't really need to have it. We only report on what's happening on our side, which we do. And finally, in his publication, President Trump stated that President Zelenskyy refuses to have elections and is very low in Ukrainian polls. President Trump also called President Zelenskyy a dictator. Since President Trump referred to the Ukrainian polls, I checked the most recent polls provided yesterday by the Kyiv International Sociology Institute. The results of the poll indicate that 57% Ukrainians trust Zelenskyy as of 19th of February 2025. I think you will agree with me that President Trump would be probably happy to have such rating during the US presidential elections of 2024, and I'm sure he has a good potential to reach those numbers. Next, I checked the Ukrainian constitution. According to Part 4, Chapter 83 of the Constitution of Ukraine, quote, in the event of the expiration of the term of office of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine during the state of martial law or emergency, its powers shall be extended until the day of the abolition of the state of martial law or emergency. To put it simple, my friends, during the martial law or nationwide emergency in Ukraine, the authority of the Ukrainian parliament is recognized as legitimate until the end of the war. Additionally, Part 2 of Chapter 187 restricts changing this chapter that I mentioned about during the martial law. Also, according to the Ukrainian law on legitimacy of martial law, Part 1, Chapter 19, adopted in 2015, it is stated that under martial law, such actions as amending the Constitution of Ukraine, holding elections of the President of Ukraine, as well as elections to the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, as well as holding all Ukrainian and national referendums, are completely prohibited. Therefore, whenever somebody tells you that Ukrainian government or Ukrainian president violated Ukrainian constitution, Please don't be lazy and actually read the thing. Here's a different example for you, my friends. The Russian constitution allows Vladimir Putin to rule his country indefinitely, which, by the way, he does for the past 20 years. And the reason for that is that he was actually the one who changed the Russian constitution to be able to rule forever. Therefore, if Putin is considered constitutional, then apparently so is Zelenskyy. To summarize, I want to quote Ukrainian president who said that he has great respect for President Trump as a leader of American people who always supported us, but unfortunately he lives in the disinformation space, which is nothing new. Everybody lives in the disinformation space. And in my personal opinion, there is absolutely no better way to support your friends than help them learn the truth. Friends, let me know your thoughts, also subscribe and share this content to help fight Russian disinformation. I'm operator Starsky, we'll see you in the comments. America and Europe stay strong.